Hello, dear friends. Welcome to this program, Our Moments with God, our moments with the Word of God, our moments with the love, mercy, and compassion of God, the love just flowing out of this cross that Jesus shared with us, and not to forget to turn our attention also to ourselves, where in our hearts we can receive God's love that He poured out for us, stretching not just His hands on the cross, but also let His heart be pierced and let water and blood flow from there, as we heard also on the Feast of the Divine Mercy. And I invite you also to please share the videos with others so that this good news goes out to more people and that more people receive God's love and mercy, and also, as we will hear today in the gospel, His friendship and a greater intimacy with Him. Thank you very much. Yes, these days we are hearing in the gospel the reading from the Gospel of St. John chapter 15. Although according to me, the whole Bible is very precious, the Word of God is very precious, and we need to really listen to everything. But I also think that this particular chapter of John, chapter 15, is one of the more important chapters to which one can return again and again. Of course, one reads through the liturgical celebrations, Mass, Gospels, or Gospels from different writers, and each day there is a different chapter, or from the same chapter, different verses. But this particular chapter is very important. As you saw, day before yesterday, we spoke about how Jesus begins from this chapter. I am the vine, you are the branches. And the branches that do not bear fruit, my Father cuts them off. And the branches that bear fruit, He prunes them, and they bear much more fruit. And then yesterday in the gospel, He mentioned about, just as the Father has loved me, so I love you. So there is a strong talk about love. And this love is not just in the air. He's saying, just as the Father has loved me, so I love you. And then He says, remain in my love. And if you keep my commandments, you will remain in my love. So yesterday I had mentioned to you that in today's gospel, He would be mentioning about what this commandment is. And He says, my commandment is that you love one another. This is the commandment, that you love one another. And then He goes on further to explain, no, there is no friend, you cannot call somebody a friend if he does not lay down his life for his friend. Or in other words, a true friend is the one who lays down his life for his friend. And then He goes on to say, I call you friends. Now please make this connection. This is spoken to you and to me. He says, begins by saying, I am the vine, you are the branches. Without me, you can do nothing. Then He says, as the Father has loved me. So the foundation is the Father's love, not just empty words, not just from the lips, but there is a concrete way that He loves us, the way Father loves Him. And then He says, remain in my love, remain in me and remain in my love. And if you keep my commandments, you will remain in my love. What is my commandment? This is all from chapter 15. It develops very steadily. My commandment is love one another. And then He says, there is no greater friend than the one who lays down his life for his friend. Why am I standing before this beautiful cross? The figure of Jesus is to show that Jesus was not just speaking empty words to you and to me, making empty promises. He actually laid down His life for His friends. Hello, please note this. He says, you are my friends. A slave does not know what his master does, but I have told you everything that the Father has told me. I call you no more slaves, I call you friends. Actually, this strong statement by Jesus is supported by his action on the cross. He stretched out his arms. Of course, there is an interpretation that why did Jesus stretch out his arms? Because he wanted to say, this much I love you. More than this, I stretch my whole arms on both the sides to tell you how much I love you. So that's why his words that there is no greater friend than the one who lays down his life for his friends. This is what he has done, he is doing, and then he goes on to say that you are my friends. I think I told you that some years ago these words came to me like a piercing arrow when he said this, and suddenly there was a kind of an enlightenment. Yes, I can call it a moment of enlightenment, really. Yeah, I have no exaggeration and no humility aside. I can say this, that this came as a very strong, like an arrow, that Jesus was convicting me and saying, you are my friend. I lay down my life for you, Dominic. And then he says that to each one of you, each one of us, that this is, and then his commandment is simple, love one another as I have loved you. And my dear friends, let us take in this love of Jesus and live with his love. Let us experience his friendship that he's offering us. Yesterday's gospel, remain in my love, remain in my friendship, mean the same thing. And if you like, you may please subscribe to this channel and ask your friends to do the same. Thank you.